Hey guys, so I have a new video for you, and this is a variation of the Find Your Shade or What's My Shade or What Shade Am I videos that I've done in the past. And specifically, I wanted to look at the new Beauty Blender foundation and try to figure out if the shade range is as bad as people are saying it is. So that's going to be the focus of this video, but I'm also going to kind of give you the typical shade chart that I normally do. So if you are interested in buying this foundation, you will be able to find your closest shade match. So this is my Instagram, and I just searched for the hashtag Beauty Blender, and as you can see, they have the top posts here, and one of the top posts is "This is not okay." So this is from Miss Ginger Tulips, and apparently it's a repost from Lil Moonchild. So basically, there's been a lot of complaints about this shade range, saying that there are a lot of very light shades and just a few dark shades, and that of the dark shades, a lot of them are very orange looking. So hopping over to Twitter, I did the same thing where I searched for the hashtag Beauty Blender. And as you can see, this is the list of the top tweets, not the latest ones, but there are some choice ones that are very amusing. It says, "Girl, what shade are you?" "Me, oh, I'm in between Oompa Loompa and ketchup." So again, talking about these orange shades. This one was also amusing. There were a lot of pale hands clapping, a few tan and dark ones, and then 3 pumpkins in the middle. Okay, so just scrolling through just to give you a flavor. This isn't a drama channel, so I'm not trying to do an exhaustive breakdown of everything that people are saying. It's just kind of giving you an idea, showing that there is a controversy about this particular foundation. And then I did want to hop on over to Reddit. This is the Beauty Guru Chatter subreddit. And there was a tweet that someone posted a screenshot of from Manny MUA, saying that he turned down a huge sponsorship with Beauty Blender promoting their new foundation because he didn't believe they were inclusive enough with the shade range. So I think he's since deleted this tweet, so I don't really know what the T is, as they say, but he did at one time, I guess, tweet that. And then another screenshot that someone posted was from Trendmood. As you know, Trendmood has a very popular Instagram feed showing a lot of new releases, and they posted all of these pictures of the new foundation. And apparently, I didn't actually see the comment for myself. I kind of tried to scroll through a lot of these comments, but as you can see, there were, at the time at least, close to 6,000, so I didn't actually locate it for myself. But anyway, apparently Beauty Blender said that part of the reason this shade range looks a little off is because there was a filter or something applied to the photo making it look different. So Trendmood said here that the image was taken from their promo video. Not sure what filter you guys used, but we did not alter this image at all. So while we're talking about the Trendmood Instagram page, we'll hop on over, and this was the photo that you just saw on the Reddit post, and if we just scroll through a little bit of that, you can see the packaging. This is the shade range in more depth. And Trendmood did post an additional photo of the shade range here, and as you can see, the shades that looked orange in the previous photo don't look quite as bad here. They still definitely have a very warm undertone to them, but this photo in general looks a little more neutral. And then also, just scrolling up, you can actually see some swatches. These are the deeper swatches, and then more of the light colors there, and that's that photo again. So I did want to show you what the brand said, so I'm going to go over to the Beauty Blender page. And if we go to this photo here, there's a video there, and then there's a chart here, which I'll get to in a little bit. But it says there's a message from their founder, and I'll just read this verbatim. "I understand the importance of tones and representation as a Latina woman who has a multicultural family, and given I have had the good fortune of working with some of the most incredible women of color," which is what WC stands for, "over my 25-year career. I couldn't have gone into product development without taking every tone into consideration. It would have been foolish to create a product if it wasn't one for everyone. I am confident that women and men will find their shade and bounce as we spent so much time focusing on undertones, which tend to be overlooked in complexion. But if you can't find your shade when Bounce goes on sale next week, then I want you to tell us. I love beauty and I love all of you. If you're in the New York area, please come see me next Wednesday and Thursday, blah, 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 and let me color match you. Look forward to meeting you all, and I truly hope you love Bounce. Love, Rianne. So that's from the brand Beauty Blender. They say that they try to be inclusive and have a diverse shade range, so I just wanted to kind of put that out there. So before we go to the Sephora website and look at what the product page says about the foundation, I just wanted to do a side-by-side of the I guess offending picture that has those really orange looking shades and the picture of all the different models. And I will say I always appreciate it when brands use different models for every single foundation shade. They don't have one model that they Photoshop to look like they're wearing 5 different shades. So they have a very diverse range of models. They have older models, younger models. I believe some of these are male models as well, so I will give them credit for that. And specifically, if you look at these orange shades, I believe those match up to this row down here. So again, you saw that earlier photo where these didn't look quite so orange. So it's always hard to tell from a computer screen what a color actually looks like. And some shades do tend to oxidize once they're on the skin. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Alright, so this is the Sephora page for the Beauty Blender Bounce Liquid Whip Longwear Foundation. As you can see, it is $40 and it doesn't say what the size is. I assume it's a 1 ounce container, but it doesn't say for sure. And all of these are out of stock currently. I believe it launches officially on the 24th, which is Tuesday, so it does have some reviews here. I don't know if some of these stores stocked this foundation early, so people were able to pick it up there, but for whatever reason, it does have some reviews already. So just scrolling over, you can see that's the bottle. I do think it's a very innovative design, and as I mentioned, they do use some male models, so at least they were inclusive in that regard. And if we scroll over here, you can see the close-ups of the shades swatched on 4 different skin tones. So there are 32 shades and they are all numbered. The light shades all start with a 1, the medium shades start with a 2, the medium plus shades start with a 3, and the deep shades start with a 4. So that's the, I guess, best way to distinguish those. So yeah, 32 shades. They have different decimals here, and they have different descriptions, but the problem I found with these descriptions, it is helpful to have, light, medium, deep, etc. Helpful to know perhaps the undertones, but a lot of these descriptions are duplicative. So 1.1 is light with neutral undertones, as is 1.4. Similarly, 1.2 is light with cool undertones, and so is 1.5. And it continues like that for many different shades. There are even some shade ranges that have 3 different shades with the same description, so I guess you can kind of figure out within those, based on the number, which would be lighter or darker, but it's not exactly ideal. Okay, I also wanted to scroll down here, and they do have a shade chart, so I will pull that up. And it says 32 blends here. It has the light, medium, medium plus, and deep broken out, and then it has cool undertones, neutral undertones, and warm undertones. So I do appreciate it when brands do this, but if you've seen any of my previous Color IQ videos, I like relying on something that's a little bit more consistent across the brands so that I know what I'm getting when I purchase a foundation. Okay, so I just mentioned Sephora Color IQ, and you're probably wondering what that is if you haven't seen any of my previous videos. So I'm going to hop on over to sephora.com/color-IQ, and that describes what this system is in more depth. Basically, it's a numbering system to help you find a good shade match. So what you can do, if you go into a store and you ask for your Color IQ number, a sales associate will use this little contraption and hold it up to 3 different places on your bare skin, And by taking a photo of your bare skin, they come up with a Color IQ number. And that Color IQ number will be one of these shades here. And I'll describe a little bit more about how this works in a second. So that's great if you can go into store. And I know my Color IQ number that I got in store, so I'm going to pop that in here where it says already have a Color IQ number. And here it has all the shades of the foundations that match that particular Color IQ number. There won't be a match in every single foundation. If there is a foundation that you want to try but it's not showing up with your exact match, you can try going lighter or darker, or you can try a different Color IQ number entirely, and I'll describe that in a little bit more detail in a minute. Okay, but if you don't have the ability to get to a store to get your Color IQ number, you can use this feature here that says don't have a Color IQ number yet. And basically it goes off of a foundation shade that you already have that you feel is a good match. So you can pick the brand, and I'm just going to pick, what do we want to go with? I'll just pick Clinique, go there, and then you pick the foundation that you have the match in. So I'm going to pick Beyond Perfecting, and I think this was the first video I filmed in this kind of series, so you can check that one out if you like. So once you do that, you can select your shade and then click Match Me, and it will give you the Color IQ number. So whatever shade I selected, if that were my actual shade, it would be 1Y03, and that may be the closest shade for me. I can't remember, but it's very similar to the 1R03 I just put in. Okay, so this is the chart that I showed you just a few minutes ago, and I've annotated it so that it's a little bit easier to understand. So all of the numbers here are basically comprised of two different parts. So for example, this is 4Y04 here, so I've called that out just so it's a little bit easier to see. And basically you want to think about this in terms of two different numbers put together. The first half will show you what your undertone is. So basically there's this line here dividing the chart into the warmer or more yellow toned shades on this side and the cooler toned or more red toned shades on this side. And it goes on a scale from 1 to 5. So the closer they are to this middle line here, the more neutral they are. And the farther away they are, the more either warm toned or cooler toned they are. So it's on a scale from 1 to 5 on either side. So here it goes 1Y, 2Y, 3Y, 4Y, 5Y. The 1Y would be much more neutral than the 4Y. And the second half of this number is 4, so basically that's going to indicate how light or dark the shade is. So it goes on a scale from 1 down to 15. So this is, I guess, kind of in the light to medium range here. So as I just mentioned, I'm a 1R03, which is right here, and that other shade that I just showed you was a 1Y03, so those two shades are pretty similar. They're both pretty neutral, pretty similar in terms of how light they are, so that may be a good option for me if I chose to look into that foundation. Okay, so this is kind of the meat of this video here. So this is the same chart that I just showed you with all of those different foundation shades overlaid onto it. So we have 1.1 up here, which is 1Y01. We have 1.2, which is 1R02. And then we also have a lot of shades in the middle here, and then a few shades down at the bottom. And the reason I find this kind of exercise helpful is, for one thing, like I showed you, my shade is 1R03, and sometimes you get lucky and there is maybe a lighter shade that you could go for. Like I showed you on the Sephora website, you have the option of going either one shade lighter or one shade darker. But if there wasn't, let's see, for example here. So if I were a 1Y03, like I just talked about, there isn't either a 1Y02 or a 1Y04, so I would be out of luck in that regard. The Sephora website doesn't give you a complete picture on its own. You have to kind of dig a little bit. So if I lay these out on the chart like this, I can see that there is a shade here, 2Y03, that might be similar enough to my skin tone where I could get away with a slightly warmer foundation there. So I also like to do this because you can really see where a foundation's strengths and weaknesses are. Some foundation brands or foundations tend to pull a little bit cooler, a little bit pinker, or a little bit more yellow. So by putting all the foundation shades onto a chart, you can kind of see how they're clustered, if you will. And unfortunately, it does look like this particular foundation has a ton of shades in the middle here. Not very many at the top and not very many at the bottom here. I will say that you can look at the actual shape of the underlying shades from Sephora, the Color IQ numbers, and you're not going to have a full range of like dark shades and light shades. I guess for whatever reason they figured that people wouldn't be, I don't know, like bright red. So that's one thing to take into account when you're looking at how these shades are allocated. The bulk of the shades are going to be kind of in this spectrum. It does seem a little bit like overkill though when there's a 1Y, 2Y, 3Y, 4Y, 5Y, etc. So there's basically every single option that people in this shade range could want in terms of undertone and depth of color. And one more thing I like to do is to lay out the distribution of the cool and warm undertones. So as you can see here, the majority of the shades are 1R. There's also quite a few 1Y. So again, these are going to be the more neutral shades. There's that line again, like I showed you. And it kind of slopes down naturally on the warm side of the spectrum. There aren't quite as many over here on the cool side. And here's the light dark distribution. So we have a few here from 1 to 3. We have a couple here in the 14 and 15 categories. And the vast majority of shades here are either a 6 or a 5 or a 4. So that's where the bulk of the shades are. So anyway, so that's the research I came up with. Hopefully it helps you guys figure out whether you think the foundation shade range is as bad as people are saying it is. If you enjoyed this type of video and would like to see more, please do hit the subscribe button, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.